What's up, everybody? I'm Jamie. That's Rick. And this is Trucking and Politics. So I did a video a couple videos back, going into wanting to do more than just our normal lease purchase journey from lease purchase on up to owner operators, etc. So I want to do maybe reach some more people, do more into trucking, etc. And I, especially in the day and age that we come into right now, I think politics is one of I say as an adult, politics is one of the most important things that you can be in tune with, especially as truck drivers. Trucking is directly affected by politics. They go hand in hand, even though they're separate. And if you ever get the opportunity to become an owner operator, you will definitely see and understand it. But even as company drivers, politics play a role in everything in the transportation industry. How much it costs for fuel, how much freight is available, how much freight costs. All those things are controlled by politics. Plain and simple. If the economy is not doing good because of legislation that is passed, etc., then the economy sucks. Everything's high. Like right now, diesel it's very expensive. If you never, company drivers know too. You're paying $600, $700 to fill up. It adds up over time. Lucky right now, diesel's down, but that's because they screwed us and are using up all the oil reserves. But so I want to do a channel on talking about trucking and politics, and also just regular life in general. I'm a parent. Rick's about to get married here in 6 months?
Is it that soon? November 2nd?
Yeah, 6 months, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he gets married in 6 months, so his
Signing
life's
my life away.
Yeah, his life's about to end. No, I'm kidding. But so we'll get into some adult stuff about that as well. But like I said, so us as truckers need to realize the importance of politics in trucking, and I say come together as a brotherhood, because I don't know if most of us have and sisterhood, my bad. Most of us have social media, and I'm sure a lot of us have watched the video of Joe Biden saying, and I quote, truckers know within the next 3 to 5 years that we're not going to have a job. I don't think it's going to be 3. I say 5 to 10 personally. But with the advancement in AI coming on as strong as it is, and the advancement in computers alone, especially with these self-driving trucks, if we're not careful, we're going to be out of a job.
Yep.
And so, we better come together. I know it sounds corny, but there is nothing more powerful than a, whatever you want to call it, a group of people, a brotherhood, sisterhood, whatever you want to call it. But, power is in numbers. And that's what the government does not like, and that goes into, regular, not just trucking, that goes into life, period. The government does not like when the citizens are unified, because they can't do whatever they want to. And that's why I harp on a lot of people, to pay attention. If you're not used to these videos, we create these videos going down the road. So we take turns in shifts. Rick's driving right now, and I'm riding along, and we're going through Arizona and New Mexico, and their roads are horrible. And if you drive, pothole galore. So sorry about that. But we like to do things. We're not experts. We don't do this for a living. This is uncut, unfiltered thought, I guess you would say. This is our personal opinion and personal experience. And as far as trucking, I have almost 7 years in trucking. Rick has 2.5.
Yep.
He's has 2.5 now, which I got him in trucking, and he fell in love with it, and he's been going ever since. So that's our experience in trucking, and we're owner operators. If you're wanting to get into trucking, or if you're a company driver and you're wanting to get into lease purchase or owner operator, if you go to our other playlist, we for the past 2 years we have documented going from lease purchase to owner operators, and as we speak now, we are paying off our lease purchase truck, etc. So if you want to go through that, you can go over there and watch all that stuff, etc. Also, before I forget, something I just started doing, etc. Advertising. So I have a big head. I always wear extra large helmets, extra large hats. Shut up, Rick. Etc. Extra large headsets. And they do not accommodate that in truck stops. My first 4 years in trucking, I had to deal with horrible headsets. They're too small. They're uncomfortable. They sit on top of your ear and they shove your ear into your head. It hurts after a while, etc., etc. The tip point shoves into your temple. And at the truck stop, they are super expensive. My final one, I got fed up. Finally, I bought that the Blue Parrot, dual head or dual ear headset, $500. I was like, ooh, that's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be big. It's not gonna hurt my head. Was I wrong? Learned my lesson on that one. So I went to Amazon looking for headsets and found one. I've had it for a year and a half now, still going strong. And what I'm talking about is the EKSA headset. It's on Amazon. I'll put the link in the description. Sorry. Which I am a contributor for that, so it is paid link. I did go ahead and put that out there. Not trying to hide it, but it goes over. So it's a big opening. Goes over the whole ear. It doesn't sit on top of your ear like all the other ones do. It is noise canceling. It has which you go on there, it'll tell you all the stuff to it, but it has like a 99-foot reach. So if you leave everybody knows, you leave your phone in the truck and you get out to go back to the trailer, you're losing signal with the normal headsets. This one, you can go all the way to the back, it still works just fine. Let's see, it's the noise canceling that. You can hook multiple devices up to it at one time, which is pretty freaking awesome. So if you have 2 cell phones, or if you have a cell phone tablet, whatever. Battery is pretty dang long. I don't listen to music or anything on it, just calls, which I call multiple times a day, which most truckers do. And I charge it like every 7 days or something. And it charges within like an hour and a half, I think, something like that. Another cool thing is, so the bridge, usually it's hard plastic. You can't bend it, etc. This one is like a plastic / rubbery thing, and you can bend it and form it to your head, which is why, I'll put it on real quick. So say I have a wide head, and so it bends and forms to my head. So I have it pre-bent, so that way this thing doesn't dig into the side of my head. But yeah, I love it. Links in the description if you want to go look at it. Great. And the best part, it's $79. Not $100, not $300, $79. So yeah, back to politics and stuff. So I think we need to come together. We need to create, I don't know, an organization to go after these states and the federal government on what they do.
We also need to elect people in office that are pro-truckers as well. Like, a lot of politicians, they think they know trucking, but they've never lived it. And so if we can find somebody and endorse them and support them and get them in office that knows and are knowledgeable about trucking, that have some sort of experience or knowledge about it, I think it will definitely help us a lot and make the industry better in itself. So.
Right. Yeah. Which don't get me wrong. There are some. There are some people that look out for us in Washington, but there's not enough. They don't do enough. Like back when all these regulations were created, if truckers would have come together, they could have put a stop to most of this and maybe negotiate, what was passed, etc. But that's not what happened. People that have never drove a day in their life or did any kind of trucking at all, create laws that they think are good, and that's why a lot of times they have to go back and fix them because they realize, maybe we didn't know what we were talking about.
I mean, we as truckers are held to a very high standard, at a higher standard than many other transportation divisions in the U.S. Like, there's...
Right, I think we're probably held to a higher standard than even, train companies.
Right. Train, pilots, any other form of transportation, we are, scrutinized the most. I mean, whenever you get in a wreck, you're automatically guilty, even if it wasn't your fault. You're automatically guilty until you're proven innocent. That that shouldn't
ass
be,
backwards.
Yeah. So always have a dash camera in your truck. That'll save you more than you would ever know.
And you new company drivers, you think the dash cam is bad. As long as you're not doing what you're not supposed to be doing, you're fine, and it will save your butt if something ever, God forbid, you get brake checked or somebody pulls out in front of you or whatever. Like Rick said, you're going to be,
in handcuffs automatically, or
they're going to blame you automatically no matter what.
You're going to be guilty from the moment the investigation starts until you're proven innocent.
Yeah. So the dash cam, especially if you're owner operator, you better have one. Like the saying goes, it's better to have it, not need it, than need it, not have it. But we need to be, as an adults, period. I think people need to become more active in politics. That way, the government has to answer to us. Like my family, my parents, throughout my entire childhood, always, when political crap come up, it was always, or even just voting. Oh, my vote don't count. It doesn't matter. Blah blah blah. Well, that's what they want you to think. That way, they can do whatever the hell they want to do. So if we don't want to be put out of a job in the next 5 to 10 years, 3 if you ask politicians, I guess, we better get off our butts and start becoming proactive. Or we're going to be, jobless, and there's, I don't remember the actual number, but there's, I think, millions of truckers across the country.
If not that, or close to it.
I don't know the actual number, but I know it's up there. I know it's like astronomical. So, which you company drivers are the first to go. You know, they will make big corporation trucking companies. They will make them have to have self-driving trucks. So, company driving will be the first thing to go, and then owner-operator, will eventually go once the companies get big enough to, be able to handle it. So, if we don't want that to happen, if we don't want them to have more of these stupid regulations and crap, we better come together. Excuse me. Before it's too late. So, do I have the answers to it? No. Do I know there's a problem, or do we know there's a problem? Yes. But to start to fix it, you have to talk about it and acknowledge that there is a problem. And so, maybe we start an organization, solely dedicated to, going after, the government, states, it's like California passing all these stupid laws, which, we did the whole, what was that thing?
Talking about the protest?
Yeah, what do they call that? The rolling blockade, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I think it, it kind of, I think, put them on check. But that's a small drop, and it needs to happen more. And now, technically, we can't. What is it? We can't protest. Like, we can't all walk out. I can't remember what it's exactly called. But I think there's a law where we can't protest or something like that. Because if we protest for more than 3 days or something, this country will stop. And that's what kind of gives us the power. So, we need to put the states and the government on notice. You're not going to get rid of our jobs. You're not going to, pretty much give all our jobs to robots. So I don't know. We'll have to figure out, what the next steps are, what we can do, etc. But something has to be done. I'm 30 years old. In 10 years, I'm not going to be able to retire. So, and even there's a lot more younger generation getting into trucking. And even my son, I asked him, what do you have planned for your, what do you have planned in life to do for a career? And he said a couple of things, but then he said, and if none of that works out, I'll do trucking. Well, I'm gonna have to go to him and say, well, that's not gonna work, buddy, because it's not gonna be here. And this really goes into other industries too. It's like Elon Musk said, in the next, I think he said 10 to 15 years, 30% of all jobs will disappear because of AI. 30% of hundreds of millions of jobs. That's a lot of fucking jobs. So I don't know. We're not just trucking, but as we the people are going to have to come together and put the government, and these corporations and states in check. Because we have the power. It says we the people for a reason. We need to stop fighting amongst ourselves, come together, and let these politicians know who their daddy is. We put you in office, and we can take you out of office. We just have to get smart enough to take these people out of office. You should not be in politics for 40 years, 50 years. That is absolutely ridiculous. And then we wonder why nothing gets changed, and they're still passing the same stupid shit. And why they're spending what was the number to Ukraine? 400 trillion or some shit?
Yeah, it's astronomical.
Whatever the real number is, that's like $400 trillion to Ukraine. How the hell are you printing $400 trillion when we don't even have $400 trillion? And we're, the biggest thing is, people, civil war, that's fine and dandy. And, yes, I'm ex-military. Would that be awesome, to think about? Sure. But in reality, it really wouldn't work that well. What needs to happen is we need to pressure, especially our people that live in Republican states, that see, there's an issue with the way the left is running things. They love to spend money. They love to pass stupid laws. But the biggest thing right now, they're spending all our money that we don't even have. So now that they have the debt ceiling is so high right now that they're having to print money, which is extremely bad. They're having to print money to solely pay for the interest on our debt, which is already causing, but it's going to cause a catastrophic debt crisis that we won't be able to get out of. And once that point happens, the country will fall apart. The economy, like we think the 08 crash was bad, or was it 08? Yeah. I think it was 08.
Was it Obama's terms?
Whatever the crash was back, I think it was 08, something like 07, 08, something like that. We thought that was bad. When your dollar is worth absolutely nothing, you will know what bad is. So what we have to do is pressure our state governments to start telling the federal government no. The federal government was never designed when our founding fathers created the federal government. It had very little power, and I don't know, I can't remember exactly what the exact power was, but it was minute on what they could do and what they can't do. And that was because, originally there was 13 colonies, 13 states, and they all got together, and some had the idea, we need a federal government, and so and most of the states were hesitant because they knew what could happen if things got out of hand, which we're running into now. The federal government has gotten way too big, and it was never designed to have all its little fingers in everything that it does now. Like the FBI, the CIA, the ATF, all those organizations wasn't created until the mid 1900s. I think it was like I think the CIA was created in the late 40s, I think, maybe early 50s, and that was because of Russia and the Cold War. And so in that time frame, most of these agencies were created, and they kind of just have dug their claws into everything. That's what you have to fear now. Nowadays, it's not you don't have to fear your politicians. You don't have to fear your representatives. You have to fear the federal bureaucracy, as it's called. The people, the IRS, FBI, ATF. They're the ones that can screw you over in a heartbeat. So the states are going to have to pressure the government and start kind of like Texas did. Like the whole border thing. The federal government wasn't doing its job, which that's one of its sole jobs when created, is to manage the borders. Well, they weren't doing that, so Texas is like, screw y'all, we'll do it ourselves. And then, the federal government's like, oh, no, you can't do that. And they're actually, we can, because it's in the Constitution. If you don't do it, we can do it. So, that's a stepping stone, and then, worst come to worst, the only option is to secede. Do I want that? No. That would be catastrophic. Would I be okay with it if it, absolutely come to that? Yeah. I'm not going to give up my morals, and Rick's not going to give up his morals, and to please people that have no effect on our lives. And it'll be a cold day in hell before we let them have an effect on our lives. Like, I'm all for, if you want to live your life a certain way and you want to believe your own shit, go for it. But when you tell me or tell my family or friends, etc., how we have to live our lives and that we have to accept and become you, negative. Ain't happening. You can live your life however you want to, whatever floats your boat, but don't tell me how to do it. And when that happens, that's when we have problems. And we come to the day and age where, especially as Republicans or even the middle, even people in the middle, a lot of adults, a lot of people have the mentality of, oh, well, they're just saying this, to let them believe let them say what they want to say and believe what they want to believe. And we've come to the day and age that isn't, like, you can't do that anymore. And especially as I've gotten older, I'm in my 30s now, my tolerance for bullshit has become, minute. And I have noticed I don't keep my mouth shut anymore for people saying the wrong thing. I know where I stand. I know my morals. And I think that's the biggest problem we have in the world today, or especially America. But I would say even in democracy, any democratic state or country, the biggest thing that has gone away is morals. People aren't living by, some do, don't get me wrong, some do, the select few of us that do, live by morals. And we all complain about these new generations, how they act, how, etc. It's because they're not being taught morals. Parents aren't being parents anymore. And I think that's another subject that we're going to get into eventually. The parenting. I think there's a parenting crisis in America, and a lot of it's because of technology. It's people see it's so much easier to shove a tablet or a cell phone in their kid's face instead of being a parent. They don't want their kid bugging them. So, oh yeah, go do this. Go get on. Whatever. Instead of stop being lazy, get off your ass and teach your damn kids something. Make them productive. If you want them to have a happy life and a good life and prosper, you better teach them some morals. As an example, I was talking to my son a couple weeks ago taking him. He's 15, freshman in high school. Has had the same girlfriend for like 6 years, and I was talking to him. I was like, Braylon, you're going to have to learn. You're at the age now. You're going to have to sit down and figure out what morals you want to live your life by. And I was like, you know what I mean? And he's like, no. Like, what are you talking about? So I'd go in. So me personally, I grew up in Boy Scouts. I was in Boy Scouts for like 10, 15 years, from a Cub Scout at whatever age that you can be there till I was dang near out of high school. And the Boy Scout motto is, a Boy Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. And that's what I try to live my life by, that motto.
Remember that?
I remember that fucking by heart.
Jesus.
And I have lived my freaking life by those morals. And I can't complain. So when I bitch at somebody for doing the wrong thing, or especially like I said, like I'm at the age now, I love to correct people. When somebody says something stupid, it's no longer whatever. Believe whatever they want to. No, that's what got us in this situation to begin with. If people would have corrected people 10, 15 years ago, we wouldn't be in this situation right now. And it's kind of like social media. You have all those social media warriors out there. Think they're big and bad on social media. Well, that's because people stopped punching people in the face. In the 90s and 2000s, I should say 2000s. In the 90s, you got punched in the face. But that stopped. And that's why you see people in public don't do the stuff they do, on social media. But anyway, so I think there's a big moral crisis / parenting crisis in this country. It is your job as a parent to teach your kids what morals that they need to or should live their life by. Showing respect. I'm a firm believer. I will show, even if I don't know you, meet you for the first time, even if it's just for a walk by, I will show you respect until you don't show me respect. Excuse me, God, that friggin' burps, I swear. Showing respect, work ethic. That's the new generation's Achilles heel. It's work ethic.
I'd rather make TikTok videos than actually go work a job and
right.
pay for it.
And I'll say, my son, his generation is that generation. Like, he is consumed in gaming. He loves gaming, which is fine, as long as you're doing the other stuff, in life to, that you're supposed to. Now I grew up, love gaming, playing, Halo, Call of Duty, Xbox all night long, etc. That's fine and dandy, but you have to teach them that, one, there's more things to life, especially as they're, becoming young adults. You have responsibilities. As long as those responsibilities are met, do whatever you want to. As long as you're living your life within the right morals. And that's why we see all these kids getting in trouble, back talking parents. I'm the age, back in the 90s and shit, you looked at your parents sideways and you got smacked. And I'm not saying beat your kids. I don't believe in child abuse, etc. My kids know. So I have 3 kids. I have 2 daughters and a son. Son's 15. My 2 daughters are 8 and 10. Rick don't have kids yet.
I have 3 dogs.
Yeah, he has 3 dogs that are his kids. Anyways, so my kids know that I love them. I would give my shirt off my back for them. I would do anything I had to provide for them. They know that. Hence, they know why I'm out here gone weeks at a time, so they can have all this, all the shit that they have, go on vacations all the time, etc. As truck drivers, this. If you're not a truck driver, truck drivers, yes, they get paid good money, but that's because we sacrifice being home all the time. But so my kids know I love them and I would do anything for them. But I also have the mindset as your kids should also fear you. My daughters know when they're bickering back and forth with each other, and they know they know when they cross that line, because they'll like look to see if I'm watching, and when they see that and they see the look on my face, they know to shut up, and without even having to say anything. You know, your kids should have that respect for you and not walk all over you as a parent. Because if they walk all over you as a parent, they're going to walk all over their boss, etc., 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 probably end up in jail eventually or dead. You have to teach your kids to show respect to, you know, elders or bosses, whatever. Because you know, I don't care who you are, you're always going to have a boss in life, whether it be the government, the IRS, even if you own we own an LLC, we own a company, we still have bosses. You know, so that's what there's a fundamental moral, you know, issue in this country and with these new generations. And that's because parents are not doing their job in teaching their kids how to act and how to live off, you know, certain, you know, how they should, what morals to live off of. And, you know, if that's fine and dandy with you, you know, more power to you, you know. But don't go crying to people or social media when your kid gets arrested or when your kid ends up in jail, which is arrested, but, you know, or dead, you know.
Jeez, that's a little extreme.
It is extreme, but that life is extreme. Life's not fair, you know. And that's, you know, people, oh, you know, you think you're better than other people. No, I just make better choices than other people do. You know. And that's because I make choices based off of morals and not emotion. And not laziness. You know. So, you know, that's something that we as, especially, you know, I can't speak to, you know, the mothering aspect. You know, I'm not a woman, even though nowadays you can just say you're a woman and that's it. But, you know, I'm not a woman. You know, I can't say how a woman should act, even though, you know, I might have an idea how, you know, I think they should act, or, you know, or how I want my kids to, you know, grow up and act, and be. And that's, you know, that's my wife, you know. She's a great mom, you know, that I could not ask for a better motherly figure than her. And that's why, you know, that's why I picked her. You know, but as fathers, I can speak on, and it is our job to, you know, raise our kids and teach them what to expect in life, you know. And that's another big problem. You know, these parents, they are not doing that. For one, they're sheltering their kids like crazy. So when these kids get out in reality, they don't know what the fuck's going on. Like, you know, what do you mean I gotta pay taxes? You know, what do you mean I have to work full time to make a living? You know, sorry, pressure my ears. You know, and that is you know, when that happens, all you have to blame is yourself as a parent. And that's why that's why we're in it goes back to politics. That's why we're in the political nightmare that we're in now, and with this new generations, and they think they know everything. They think they know what's best. They think they can tell us all how to live our lives, even though they've only been freaking live for 20 minutes, you know. And they have no clue. They have no idea what responsibility is. You think they've been to college, they know all about responsibility. Negative. Not even close. And that's why you see all these kids that are, you know, there was one video, I don't know what, I can't remember what restaurant it was or something. This kid's freaking out. The first day at work, and she had, I think it was a chick. I think it was a she. had to work an 8-hour shift and was bawling her eyes out. God, man, bawling her eyes out because she was overwhelmed and not expecting what it was going to be like to work and make a living. And all that falls back on the parents. Like I said, it's your job to prepare your kids for reality. Reality is unforgiving. It's not fair. It is a harsh environment. It is dang near survival of the fittest. Me personally, at 12 years old, or 12 or 13 years old, so my dad owned a construction company since I was, born. So at 12 years old, guess where I was at during the summertime? It definitely wasn't outside playing with my friends. It was outside at a construction site, working my ass off, learning what reality is going to be. And that's why at 14 and a half years old, right before I turned 15, got my permit, I bought my first car. I paid for half, my dad paid for the other half, and then I spent the next 2 years paying him back for that other half. Which taught me, those two things alone teaches you a ton of shit. And that's what I, love my parents for that. The way, especially my dad, was mainly my dad. He was a hard ass, couldn't be more thankful for how he prepared me for life. There's not many people in life or whatever you want to call it that will outwork me. And that's because I was 12 years old on a construction site at 110 degrees. But that's because I was taught, if you want something, you better work your ass off for it, because it's not going to be given to you. And so that's what I'm trying to teach my son now, because he's at that age 15, which unfortunately he can't come out here and work for my company. So I have to create new ways and new and as a parent, this is the hard part. You can't be this carrot and stick. You can't be stick all the time, especially with the new generations. If you're stick all the time, it causes them to go further and further in the direction you do not want them to go. So as a parent, I have to, and my wife calls me my son's whisperer, because I can get him to do things that she can't get him to do. Like he just got his permit, so, and he's a very timid person, like I said, the new generation that they don't have ambition, they don't have, it's not like we were raised at my age. Can't get my ear popped. So I have to figure out how to get him to do things, and I can't just whoop him or scold him, aka the stick. You can't do that all the time, because like I said, it's going to push him further and further away down the road you don't want him to go down. So learning how to get your child to do things that you want them to do without using the stick all the time, aka getting them to do stuff. Like, you have to use a carrot every now and then. So example, my son just turned 15. I want him to get his permit. Does he want to get his permit? Not really. He could care less right now. But he's been wanting. I bought him a PC a couple years back, a gaming PC. He's been wanting some upgrades for it. And don't get me wrong, he has his own money and he pays for his own stuff. birthday money, Christmas money, etc. And that's if that is what he wants to spend his money on, that's fine. Well, I'm sitting there with him, and he asked me, can I spend my money on this and buy all this stuff? It's like $500 worth of computer upgrades and shit. So I was like, Braylon, I was like, one, you're to the age and you need to start learning how to save money. And he made the comment, well, I'll start saving money, once I start working. I was like, okay, at least he's getting in his mind that he's going to have to start working here soon. So that's a plus, So I was like, okay, let me change this direction here. Say, okay, Brandon, you're getting to the age of where, in adulthood, when you want something, it doesn't just cost you money. It costs you other things also, aka, all the stuff we want is, we become truckers because, we want to be able to afford to buy, good, nice things, go on vacations, etc. Well, what does that cost us? That cost us time with our family. It cost us missing a bunch of stuff. So I use that as a Braylon. You're coming to the age of where wanting certain things, as an adult doesn't just cost you money; it costs you other stuff too. And I said, AKA me, it cost me being away from you guys. So it's like, okay. So I was like, what do you think what's something that you think is, it should cost you to get these things? And he sat there for a minute, and it finally, he finally come to it and said, what about getting my permit? Which shouldn't be something. It should be something you want, but I don't know. He's just not like that. He could care less to get his permit right now, or to drive in general. But I was like, for me, I'm like, yes, that's what I want. So coming up with teachable moments like that is how you get through to newer generations, I guess you would say. Unlike me, I just get my ass busted, when I was little, or when I was younger, whatever. Or, I would get, Xbox taken away, or et cetera, et cetera. But that was a different time and age, unfortunately, and a different generation. Our generation, 30-year-olds, our generation was a lot different compared to the newer generation, the tech generation. And trust me, I have grounded him from everything before, and he could care less, So having to come up with new ways of getting through to your kids is part of being a parent. Now, my girls are total opposite, which I think it's a new generation, of course. God, my freaking ear will not pop. There it goes. Sorry about that. So, like I said, my girls, total opposite. I think, they're probably a new generation. I don't know for sure. So 8 and 10. Extremely outgoing, extremely, good work ethic, very motivated, all the other things that, that his generation is not. And I can lead them more by stick than I do have to with carrot. But also, I think it's because some of it's because we have went about gaming different with them. They're it's a lot more strict. We're a lot more strict with them of when they can game, how long they can game, what games they can play, etc., etc. So if they're on the game too long, get off, get your butt outside, etc. but a lot of it's, I think it's just, just the generational thing. But anyway, so, it's kind of the things I want to talk about, and if there's any topics you guys want to talk about, feel free to comment. And like after the first couple of these, or maybe the next one, I'll start doing live. I just did my first live one on the other playlist, and so I'm kind of getting used to that still. So, if there's any other topics you guys want to talk about, if you have any comments, and like I said, I'm not an expert. Rick's not an expert. It's a lot of it's personal opinion.
All of it is.
Yeah, all of it's personal opinion, except for certain things that are that are just out there that people know. But anyway, I would say it might be personal opinion, but like I said, I'm a pretty moral person, so on most things I know I'm on that moral high ground, I guess you would say. But if you think if you have a different opinion, that's fine. Put it in the comments. We'll talk about it. Unlike the new generations that can't talk or can't have conversations, with people that disagree with them. We're not like that. And that's another issue in our country that we're facing now. People aren't coming together to talk about the things that are wrong. And that's one that goes back to being raised a certain way. Teaching your kids how to have hard conversations, etc. So anyway, tell me what y'all think about the video. If you want, like I said, this is going to be a new playlist for us. It's kind of new, so I'm sorry. Sorry about the video quality. Like I said, this ain't professionally done. This is on the road trucking. We're on the road driving right now. Well, Rick's driving. I'm sitting in the seat right now. So let us know how you like the video. If you want to see more, let us know. Great. But yeah, just comment, subscribe, like, do all that kind of stuff, and then we'll see you guys next time. See ya.